And we are live. Hello, happy Friday. I cannot believe it's Friday already. And I have my amazing friend, one of our newest members in the community here today with us, Arlise. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me on today.
Hi. So we both before we jump on, and I am excited about this conversation, I want to introduce Arlise to you. So Arlise Dudley Cash, she's a winner of the Best Presentation Award by the International Women's Leadership and Empowerment Conference. She's a business and self-love coach. She's an inspirational speaker and self-love movement leader. I love that. With a background in business, neuroscience, and forensics. Sorry, her career expands over several industries, including operations management, research scientist, and death investigation. Arlise unites this eclectic background with her personal journey to overcome the odds and survive a terminal diagnosis. Her award-winning presentations include topics on extreme self-love and body positivity. She's passionate about helping her clients to become powerful, joyful, authentic business owners experiencing freedom, having a lot more fun in their business, and each of us becoming the loves of our lives. I love that. Welcome, Arlise.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had to tell you, I was reading this bio and I'm thinking, wow, that's so interesting. I hadn't realized one of the reasons I love doing these chats because I get to learn about the backgrounds and this combination of different education and background and experiences that ladies bring and how their life kind of, what they're doing today based on their backgrounds. It's just so interesting to me. So I'm excited about this conversation. Before I jump in, one of my favorite questions that I like to ask is what makes you unique and different?
Yeah, I love this question. And I think that for me, it's a combination of things. It's one of them is my educational background and being so grounded in science with the study of forensic science and neuroscience. And then also having the background in a master's in business administration and a completion of the inner MBA certificate program. And I think that that really gives me a unique perspective, especially when it comes to business. I kind of take on business as using the scientific method, if you will, and piecing out the different components and using hypotheses and then seeing what the outcomes are of what I consider research, which are usually launch plans or business operations plans. So that's one thing that makes me really unique. And the other thing is overcoming a terminal diagnosis at such a young age. You know, when I was 28 years old, I was told that I probably wouldn't live more than a couple of years. And deciding that I was going to live and that I was going to stay on this planet and that I was willing to change every aspect of how I lived on this world in order to make that happen. And it gives me a sense of gratitude for life and a sense of like fierce strength to be here.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Where do I start? That's amazing. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Oh, and I don't know what I mean, I can only imagine what you had to go through when you heard those words that you only have a couple of, and then how much work you had to get done or to go through also mentally and in your mindset to continue to push forward. So that's amazing. That's amazing to me. So let's talk about the. So you mentioned your background, how it contributes to the when you work with the business, and so that to me is also interesting. How can you elaborate how you, because it's so interesting how you combine forensics studies with something that you're doing today. I'm guessing, but I want to ask you.
Yeah, so as a business coach, a lot of what I do is investigation, right? And so that ties right back with forensics. It's figuring out the root cause for the result that the business owner is seeing in their business. So if they are seeing a lack of growth or not sustaining profits or things like that, it's about honing down to why is that specifically happening, and then addressing the result of that investigation. And for me, that's where the science really comes in, is being able to lay out a plan that has very concise, simple steps in order to address the challenges that are occurring so that they can become successes.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. Can you give us an example of, well, maybe we should touch on what forensic studies are to start with. For some people who want to know, yeah.
So I specifically studied death investigation. So that's what forensic studies is. It's death investigation, and there are or investigation of the past. There's lots of different varieties of or areas of expertise for forensic studies. I participated mostly at the crime scene investigation level as a coroner, and I also did autopsies as part of my job as a coroner. And one of the things and how it correlates to business for me is, in a business, it's very much like a body structure. You know, you have the head of a business, you know, the COO or CEO. You have the heart of the business, and you also have the different areas of the business that really get the meat and potatoes or digestion done, so to speak. And so that's kind of how I break it down in my mind and how it correlates as far as the human body. And I think that a great example of that is getting really focused on ideal client. So in a business, there's always a target market and an ideal client. And what I have found, especially with solopreneurs, is that they don't have a very good idea of who their ideal client is. So usually they assume that their ideal client is the client that is producing the most sales, but that may not be the case. Their ideal client may have other characteristics that we can suss out through investigation that would actually support their business better. So their ideal client is the client that helps them sustain growth, that improves their profitability, and increases their reach. So, but that may not be the client that is actually buying their product the most right now. It could be a different model of who their ideal client is, and that's who they need to reach for in the future.
Wow, that's so interesting, and I love that. That is so interesting. Hi, Emmy. Thanks for joining us. Hi, ladies. Yeah, so to me, it's very interesting, and I love that correlation. I never thought about it, and I think that's totally unique, but it makes sense, because I agree with you. I think a lot of us, when we start in business, we kind of just, you know, get the revenue going, and so we might not identify that ideal client right away. But it's so key. And then another thing you mentioned, that ideal client might not be the one who's bringing them us money. That is also such a key, right? It's so important, that distinction. So I appreciate you mentioning that, Arlise. That's awesome. So I know you just had your podcast on the self-love movement, and I love that. And I know you leading that, you started that. Talk to us and tell us more about that. How that started, and what inspired you to do that?
Thank you. I love this question. So my co-host and my co-host is Diana Grimion, and she is a fabulous manifestation and speaking coach here in Hawaii as well. She and I met over a year ago, and it was just a casual meeting, and there were no sparks. It wasn't negative. It just wasn't. We met each other and we enjoyed the conversation that we had, but then we never really touched base. And then at the Women's Leadership and Empowerment Conference this last year, we saw each other speak for the first time, and we were blown away by each other and decided that we needed to start having conversations and getting to know each other. And about 4 conversations in, we both said, hey, these are amazing. We should really make these a podcast. And that's how it really started. And we had focused on the topics of body positivity and all the subtopics that go on underneath that heading. And so we have the Body Positivity podcast now. We are launching our podcast on all of the available apps. Next Tuesday is our official launch date, which we're very excited about. And we are also putting on our first virtual conference in October. So we are taking speaker applications right now, which is really exciting. And I'll give the link to Elle to put into this episode. And she's just an incredible person. And we've been so fortunate to have guests come on and really show up in vulnerability and authenticity and talk about their personal body positivity journeys. As I'm sure you know yourself, Elle, that body positivity is something that is like a lifelong practice. It's never an end game. We don't get to some point in body positivity and that's the tip of the mountain. There's always more to be had as far as loving ourselves. And one of the philosophies that Diana and I share is that we really feel that loving ourselves as individuals is a means to change the world positively.
Yeah, I love that. Congratulations. Congratulations on all of the podcasts and the conference. That's exciting. And I love the topic, and I think we all, well, at some point maybe go through that. I know I have in school, but it's like you said, it's a lifelong journey. And I think for me, it started when I was in school. In middle school, you become so, I was thinking this is not right, that is not right, and it's good when you have these conversations, bringing light into these conversations and awareness, and and having 2 daughters myself, I know that we are so demanding of ourselves sometimes. So I think this conversation of self-compassion, self-love needs to happen, so that we educate girls growing up as well. So I'm excited. I'm so glad you're doing that. And I love how you described that you first really didn't connect first, and then you continued, and then let's do this together. And I love how we women do that, right? We start this conversation like, let's collaborate, let's partner up, let's do this. So I love that. And then we bring others along. because we show others that it's doable. And it's the same with the body positivity too. I think once we are kind to ourselves, we show love to ourselves, we are able to show love to others, and it continues. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. I think that one of the easiest things that we as women can do to model self-love and self-acceptance and body positivity is to say thank you for compliments. I know that probably sounds very simple, but if you think about it, most women, especially when they receive a compliment, they brush it aside. And if you can stay really grounded in your heart center and feel gratitude and just say thank you, that's a huge step in feeling good about your body and good about the compliment that you're receiving and fully receiving it. But it's also modeling it to the outside world that it is healthy to positively receive compliments.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it makes me think how many times, you give a compliment to someone, and then you hear something back at you. And so there was not, and we just, it's interesting how that works in our minds, and it's so key, and it is simple just to say thank you. But when you think about it, sometimes we give it to someone and they brush it off, or they give it back to you, right? They will say something, oh, I like that dress on you too, which is nothing wrong with that. But the whole point is that was directed at you first, and there is that time that needs to be accept, like we should accept and take that, and that makes a difference, right? And we can give it, of course, back as well to the person or whatever. But I think that is it's just, yeah, this conversation can continue on and on. I love it. Yeah, and it's just one of those simple things, one of the small parts that, yeah, yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. um One of the questions I also ask, and I know ladies who are watching these videos in our community, hi, good morning. They can view this video later on and then and they will know the referral partners. So that's another question that I like to ask. If you do know the referral partners for your business, um, so you can let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best referral partners for me are others who are in business services. And those individuals are marketing consultants. Um, let's see here. My brain just went blank. That's interesting. Oh, here we go. Website designers, logo designers,
Okay.
personal assistants, executive assistants, those who have direct contact with other businesses, so HR and payroll services, or even life coaches. So, coaches that are not focusing on business but may have clients who are looking for support in their life and are looking for support in their business. So, those are really great referral partners for me. And one of the things that I like to talk about when I am meeting with a referral partner or a potential referral partner is the fact that I focus very strongly on self love in my business coaching as well. So, I've done a lot of literary research on this neuroscience and practice of self love and how that impacts our brain chemistry and our cellular chemistry in our body. And there's so much research out there that shows that it supports success in business. So, the clients that I'm looking for are ones that are interested in seeing more success in their business through the practice of self love and fundamental business practices.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Love that. Love, love, love. Completely agree. Yes, totally agree. It's interesting how, yeah, I was just reading something this morning that actually was on a similar topic. Yeah, our emotions and the business successes and the way we feel, and yeah, it's just so interesting. Um, Thank you so much, Arlise. I know thank you so much for being available. I know from where you are, I think the time is probably very early. So thank you for being available and taking the time to do this. I love this conversation. I hope to, hear you speak more in the community. I think you bring so much value with the backgrounds that you have and experiences. It's amazing, and I know, and I'm excited that Elise will be actually one of our coaches in our Empower program. So, ladies, you will be completely excited when you see all the content that she has prepared for you. That's just amazing. I'm excited about that for sure. Um, but yeah, if there's anything else that you want to add at the end, Elise, please do so.
Yes, thank you so much for all of the opportunities that you give the women who are part of this amazing networking group. I could sit here and list all the opportunities, but it would take almost as long as the whole program that we've had so far. And I'm just very grateful to be a part of the network and be a part of the community. And the last thing that I would add is that if you're interested in learning more about self-love and being a part of a course that is just geared towards female entrepreneurs and self-love, I am teaching a course starting in October called You Are the Love of Your Life. It's a 7-week course, and it focuses completely on self-love, self-compassion, and self-acceptance, and the transformations that have happened in women that have gone through the program have just blown me away. So I'll also give that information to Elle, so that if you're interested in that, I would love for you to come to an information meeting and find out more about it.
Wow, yeah. Yes, we're gonna post those links in the comments below. So check out, and that course sounds amazing. I wanna learn more. And then ladies, please connect with Arlise. We're gonna add her contact information here. She's here on our Facebook group as well. And thank you again, Arlise. It's always great to talk to you. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you
Have a
so
great
much, Elle.
weekend. Bye.
Bye.